Last week, your two companies, DAO infrastructure firm Upstream and Truth Labs, which is behind some NFTs, including Goblin Town, merged into one entertainment and technology company called Truth Arts. Now, Truth Arts is building games, technology, and creative content. Can you take us through the goal of this merger? What made you want to combine your two companies together?
Yeah, it's a great question. On one side, on the upstream side, we'd been venture backed. So we'd raised close to $20 million from VCs, and we were building DAO infrastructure. And the DAO space wasn't taking off in the way that a lot of people expected. A lot of people expected sort of DeFi, then NFTs to take off, and then DAOs to take off. And we were sort of like relegated to taking shots on goal for DAOs to take off. We had a really, really talented engineering, product, and sort of business team. On the other side, I have Truth Labs, which was a sort of entertainment. We started off in NFTs, but really entertainment sort of storytelling group. And my co-founders there and the team there were really amazing at art and creative and storytelling. And we had launched things like Goblin Town, which is one of the top 35 projects on OpenSea. We found this amazing opportunity where it was sort of like two sides of my brain. And we had this amazing sort of storytelling creative team on one side, and we had this amazing sort of engineering product team on another side. And we just figured that if we combine them, we could do some really amazing things. And this all sort of came from a really popular video game that came out last summer called Only Up. And Only Up just became this like phenomenon in the indie sort of gaming space. And it used all of Truth's IP. So it used Goblin Town. We have something called Illuminati NFT. And it used a lot of our IP in the game. And it became one of the fastest growing indie games, was one of the most streamed games on Twitch. And it was a game that was making about $100,000 a day at the peak. And everyone thought we made the game because it was all of our IP. And so we took that sort of momentum and we realized, we have really strong IP and we should go and build sort of like an entertainment technology company that focused on gaming and content. So once all that sort of came together, we decided to combine as one company, and the merger finally closed in January, and we announced it about a week ago.
So you have been involved in the NFT space for years now, and you have seen its highs and lows. We all witnessed the hype surrounding non-fungible tokens until about 2022, and now the value of several popular NFTs has drastically decreased. In fact, according to CoinGecko, in 2023, NFT trading volume was less than half of what it was in 2022. Well, investment platform Republic is now offering a way for private companies to give future equity to turn things like NFTs into something that could have value. Your firm, Truth Arts, is the first NFT-focused company to try this out. What made you want to be the guinea pig, if you will, and how will this work exactly?
Yeah, so I've been in this space for about 12 years, which is a long time for crypto. I was at one of the first companies. It was a company called Dwala back in 2012 to 2014. My co-founder on the upstream side and I used to work there, and it was one of the first ways to get money into this space. And I think when I joined, I think Bitcoin was like $4 or $5. I did not buy enough to not have to be here right now. But in general, I've been around the crypto space for quite some time. And I've seen, every 2 years, a crash and then a resurgence and then a crash and then a resurgence. NFTs got really popular, obviously, and had a lot of, euphoria over, the past 2 years. And it's funny enough, Goblin Town was actually sort of like the end in the beginning of the bear market, right? There was the bull market from end of 2020, beginning of 2021, all the way to about May 2022. And that was when things like Luna and Terra and all these things started sort of, I think ETH went from like 4,000 to 3,000 to 2,000. And it sort of started crashing. And that's when Goblin Town actually came out. And so we sort of like bookend that bull market and started the bear. And funny enough, right now, we're actually coming out of the bear. This past week is Bitcoin has hit new all-time highs, and there's just a lot of momentum in this space. I think, after the ETF, it's very hard for crypto. Every time the market crashed, it was always like, okay, is crypto over? And then it would come back. This time when the market crashed, there was no real question of like, is this over? It was just like, when is it going to come back? And now that ETFs are out and, a grandma has Bitcoin in her 401k, like it sort of can't go away anymore. So it feels like inevitable that we're just going to be marching sort of ahead. Now, all this sort of comes back to, we created, an NFT project called Goblin Town. We actually created a few NFT projects under the umbrella of Truth. And we started to think about how we want to approach our business going forward, especially with the merger. And we were thinking about, okay, we want to build this entertainment company. We want to build this technology company. And we want to sort of focus on building a global brand. We have a really strong IP with Goblin Town, and we want to build this global brand. And we want to bring our community along, because one of the big things right now in the NFT space is like, how do we bring our community? Like, we want to go mainstream. How do we bring our community along? And for the most part, the projects sort of to say thank you, we're sort of going on and we're going to try to, go mainstream. We're going to try to build out an Instagram account or a TikTok account, or we're going to try to get as many sort of followers and create content, or whatever it is that mainstream means for your project. And so we started thinking about, how do we bring our community along? And where's the value from the effort that we're putting into this? Where is it going? And we sort of came to the conclusion that it was going really two places. The first place is the company, right? If we're successful, our market cap is going to grow, our valuation is going to grow, our revenue is going to grow. So the company, if we're doing good work, our company will be worth more. The second is the characters, the IP, the stories we tell. If we create great characters, if we create great stories, that will be valuable. And you can use an analogy like Marvel, right? Marvel is a valuable company. They were acquired by Disney a handful of years ago. But even the characters themselves, Spider-Man, Wolverine, X-Men, Fantastic Four, all these things, Iron Man, all these things are valuable in and of themselves. I think last time I looked, Spider-Man's value was like in the multiple billions. So if we're successful, those are the two things. It's the company and the characters and the IP that we are creating. And so we started to think a little bit about, how can we get the people who own our NFTs, the people in our community, how can we get them on the same lifeboat as us? How can they sort of participate in our success? How do we make sure that we're not extracting from the community, but providing value and letting the community grow with us? And so all that led to talking to Republic and understanding what they can do. The investment platform, they're very popular. And they had this product called a share drop. And it's sort of a private way for companies to give future equity to communities, and basically in exchange for loyalty. And so our company, Truth Arts, we're the first NFT focused company to do something called a share drop, which is this mechanism. And we're also the first company to offer tokenized future equity via the share drop. And this is just really interesting. The last piece here is, we're having trouble disproving it, but we're not comfortable like making the claim yet. But we think that Truth Arts is the largest private share drop ever by nominal value of future equity. And meaning we're the first to do it like this, but we're also the first or the largest private share drop ever. And that's really interesting, because all these people who held on to the NFTs, who stuck with our community, had the opportunity to come in and be owners in the company as well.
So taking a step back, what do you attribute the lack of interest in NFTs to? Was it the result of the broader crypto downturn? And do you think things might change now that Bitcoin hit a new all-time high and the crypto market has been experiencing a rally? What's your outlook for NFTs this year?
Ethereum is the most popular platform for NFTs. And so Ethereum itself, and by the way, there is Bitcoin NFTs now as well as things like Solana and other chains. But Ethereum, where most of the projects that exploded in 2021 and into 2022, they were mostly made on Ethereum. And Ethereum isn't really usable. For example, if I wanted to go buy a goblin on Magic Eden, which is becoming the most popular marketplace to buy NFTs right now, if I wanted to go buy a goblin, that might cost me $500, $600. The problem is that the gas on top of it is another like $50 to $100. Now, for other chains like Solana, that's like pennies. So it's not really usable right now. So Ethereum NFTs are sort of like stuck right now. There's not a lot of volume because the fees are exorbitant on top of it. Like, why would you pay 20% more to buy something? You wouldn't. You just wait until the thing called gas goes down. So the question is like NFTs right now. I think the future for NFTs and how they get more popular, because they are popular on other chains. Right now, the most popular thing is something called Bitcoin ordinals. It works a little bit differently, and I'm not going to go into the minutia of it, but it's essentially an NFT on Bitcoin. And those are extremely popular right now. One of the most popular things, they're exploding. The value of them are going up a lot, but they're also really hard to figure out actually how to use. And I'm pretty technical on this stuff, and I'm still like a newbie at this type of stuff. So I can't imagine someone normal would sort of figure them out. But I think the future of NFTs are really actually cross-chain. And what I mean by that is sort of they're like chain agnostic. Right? Everyone was all about Ethereum NFTs. When anyone ever said NFT, they were talking about Ethereum. They may have not said that, but it was Ethereum, the chain, they were talking about that. But now, because of the fees, I think NFTs are going to be going to a lot of different chains. And so I think 99% of NFTs are probably still going to be worthless. I had said this for years. Most people that deal with NFTs have said like most NFTs are sort of worthless. It's that 1%. It's sort of like, think of it at any collectible, right? Baseball cards. You think about baseball cards, there's really old baseball cards that are worthless, but then there's also the Mickey Mantles that are worth millions, right? So it's usually always like the 1% that makes up most of the market cap of a space. So when you say like baseball cards are doing really well, it's because the Michael Jordans and the Mickey Mantles of the world are selling for millions and millions of dollars. The other ones don't have as much value. I think it's the same with NFTs, is that there's going to be like 10, 20, maybe 30 companies / projects that sort of stand the test of time. And mostly it has to do with just having enough money in the bank and staying around and continuing to sort of iterate and build and try new things. There are definitely some projects that are doing really well. There's one called Pudgy Penguins, run by my friend Luca, that's really, really popular and doing really well, and in Walmart with toys. So it sort of ebbs and flows the demand, and it really depends on the project.
As you mentioned, you've been involved in crypto since 2012. So you have been through many cycles. And so I'm wondering, what do you think is behind the recent crypto rally? Do you think the popularity of Bitcoin ETFs and the tightening Bitcoin supply ahead of the upcoming halving are two big catalysts?
Yeah, no, I think that's a big piece. I think the ETF with Bitcoin, it's funny, if you actually went into everyone was sort of saying it's like a sell event, right? Like sell the news. And then it was for the first few days. And it was a huge opportunity to buy, actually, because I think it's up like tremendously since then. But I think now, obviously, the ETH ETF is the next one. So a lot of people are excited about that. I think in general, crypto's sort of inevitable. I think at this point, I mentioned before, like now that, grandma has, Bitcoin in her 401k, it sort of can't go away anymore. It sort of like has crossed the chasm. And I think in the end of the day, we're talking about like, programmable money, right? In the end, if you want to break it down to the most basic sort of concept, it's programmable money. And it's sort of like a reimagining how things would work if you sort of started from scratch, right? When people say, I know in 2021, 2022, the big thing was like, it's going to sort of replace everything. And then other people were just like, well, why is it going to replace everything? That sort of doesn't make sense. Some things work really well. And that both things like can be true. You can keep both things in your mind, that some things you don't need crypto because you have a trusted sort of intermediary that you trust to use. But I think in the end of the day, the ability to have like a token, and the ability to have sort of like the ability to take sort of crypto and and apply it to sort of any industry, I think is just something really fascinating. It's something that has always interested me. But right now, I think the combination of the ETF, so something that we feel like you can't go back from, and then the halving, obviously, with the lower supply of of mining of coins available, the demand is outstripping the supply. I think I saw something, I think maybe a week or two ago, that there were 900 new Bitcoins mined, and there was like demand for 10,000 Bitcoin, right? It's just supply and demand. Now, there's other pieces to this in terms of gaming, in terms of just new ways to use crypto. There's a really popular thing that happened about a month ago maybe 2, 3 weeks ago. It was a new type of crypto game that everyone was talking about in the space. So I think there's just new use cases that people are getting excited about. Um, but yeah, right now I think it's there's just excitement on the sort of renewed interest in new use cases.
Quickly before we go, what else can people expect from Truth Arts in the near future? I read that 3 video games are in development, and you're also working on a TikTok series. Can you take us through some of the things you're currently working on?
Yeah, so we have I think on the 18th, so in a few days, March 18th, we have sort of a variety show coming out. It feels like different types of some episodes are in 3D, some are cartoons of Goblin Town that's coming out. We are bringing back something that was very popular in 2022 called the McGoblin Burger Truck. It was a staple at NFT NYC, which was like the real like really popular event in New York. Like conference. And so we're bringing back something called McGoblin Burger Truck, which is like a food truck with burgers, which is something in the lore of Goblin Town is that goblins eat. And then we're working on a bunch of games. We're working on iOS and Android games. We're working on Steam games. We're working on console games. So we're really excited. We're sort of like using gaming as a way to sort of launch storytelling and lore and character building. And then we're also building actually software products. Funny enough, we're building this entertainment technology company. And typically, when you build an entertainment company, you think of like, okay, you make a TV show or a movie or content, and then you distribute it. You build technology, you're thinking of software or hardware, and we're sort of combining those things. We're building something around the meme space. I don't know if the audience here is. I mean, everyone likes memes, and memes are really popular. But I think it's one of the most underfunded spaces. I think if you look at the market cap for memes themselves, and if you look at Google, just memes are, I think, a $3 billion market cap. And you think of things like Giphy and other like GIF tools and things like that. But if you actually think about it, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, Reddit, they're all memes from top to bottom. The most engagement comes from memes. And I think it's one of the most underfunded spaces. So we have a product coming out that is like a meme management tool, sort of like a database archive for memes. And so that place also is a location in Goblin Town in the story and the lore. So we're building this like sort of new type of entertainment technology company that that people haven't really seen. So we're really excited to get it out the door.